Good evening, Eastern Oregon, and welcome to Keeping It Clear with Cody Bowen, man. It's been about, a month and a half, maybe a little longer. This is a show on transparency. The Union County Sheriff's Office, Cody Bowen decided when he was voted into office that he wanted to have a show and an opportunity for the people of Union County to ask him questions and basically hold him accountable and be transparent. This is brought to you by Loveland Safe Ride. Man, we always talk about this every time. There's no number that you can put on the amount of lives saved by Loveland Safe Ride. It's such a great program during events in Union County and now Wallowa County too. Actually, Wallowa County for a while. They provide rides home for people that are intoxicated, and it's that simple. It saves lives and it saves DUIs. It's probably a great resource for the sheriff's office as well, because they don't have to spend as much time and resources pulling people over.
Absolutely.
Cody, how are you?
Great.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me. It's nice to be back. Yeah, Loveland and the volunteers that make that program work. All
Absolutely.
People giving back that are truly saving lives.
All of the local car lots, other guys, Legacy Ford, Legacy Dodge, Goss, they all donate vehicles and make this Loveland Safe Ride thing happen, man. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So what's up in the Union County Sheriff's world?
In the world of the sheriff, man, of course it's election season, campaign time. There's a lot of that going on. Busy, I wouldn't say more busy talking to folks. It seems like I'm chatterbug out there all the time. I'm always talking to people and always having conversations with folks. But, along with that campaign stuff, we've got a big commissioner's pool of folks that are running for that. We've got nine, which is for an open seat, an uncontested seat. So it's good. I think it's great. It gives people some choices, but it also, it shows to me that there's people interested in helping Union County and
people that care.
Yeah, and that commissioner's job is to go out and be an advocate for Union County. And I witness it on a weekly basis. The commissioners that we have now, they're across the state, they're battling, they're talking to the governor, they're talking to legislative representatives, congressmen, trying to be a voice and support for Union County. And the thanks to them for doing that, and it's their responsibility, but it's a passion that each one of them has. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see where that goes.
Same. I like how you said advocate for the commissioners. We have a commissioner on once a month on the morning show, and I call them lobbyists, and they agree. I mean, basically that's what they do. They don't have a ton of power. What they do is they lobby for what we need here in Eastern Oregon.
Absolutely. Yeah. 100% correct.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Then we've got of course the judge race and then the sheriff's race. We've got myself and another candidate, and then the Judge Williams and another candidate for his position. So.
And then there's one judge running unopposed. There's 2 seats coming open. I can't remember the guy's name, but yeah, there's one. It's Williams and somebody else, and then one guy running unopposed for the other seat. There's 2 judges.
Is that Powers? Tom Powers?
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, so excited for that. That'll bring some good changes, I hope, and some new faces in that that immediate circle that I work with on a daily basis. Commissioners, we're constantly in contact. The judicial system, obviously, we're right there with that. So yeah, I'm excited for that.
Nice.
But that's what's been in my world lately. A lot of meetings talking about what's going on in our county. Our drug task force has been a big topic lately. Again, another commissioner, like I said, reached out to Governor Kotek and asked her for some assistance to keep that program going.
From the state police.
From the state police. Commissioner Anders went right to Governor's front table. He had 5-6 minutes to have a conversation with her, and his main focus was our deaths of recent people, our fentanyl problem, obviously tied in with our mental health, but told her what we were doing in the sheriff's office as far as the drug task force, and said, hey, we need help. We cannot do this by ourselves. Can you please help us? Whether that's funding, whether that's a person, a trooper, whatever that is. And I don't want to say surprisingly, but it was surprisingly she reached out to him that night after that meeting and said, we're talking about this, and I think he might have shared that, but
he did. Yep.
It shows that there's a little bit different thought process over on that side of the state, and I'm thankful for, especially with our governor. As everyone knows, I didn't see eye to eye with the last governor because I felt like there was a lot of dictatorship from that side of the state, and I was a big voice for local control and all the stuff that went along with that letter.
Yeah.
So so I'm optimistically excited for what's going to come from that side of the state. So
nice.
Fingers are crossed that she's going to help us out. So
nice.
Yeah.
This is a show about transparency. You guys are more than welcome to type any questions you have right there in the comments, and I'll ask Cody. And a shameless plug for tomorrow night. There's a forum, and it's all 9 of the county commissioners, or the people running for county commissioner, the people running for judge, and the people running for sheriff. So Cody's doing 2 basically question and answers in a row on back-to-back nights. Yeah. So that means I'm just going to have to hammer you with the hard ones tonight.
I'll take it.
We have a guest tonight. She is your public information officer and does all the concealed handgun stuff for Union County Sheriff's Office.
Yes. Yeah.
Sharice Keckle. Did I kill that?
Keckley.
Keckley? Oh my goodness. I'm terrible with names. I told you I was going to mess it up. Anyways, Sharice Keckley is going to join us right after the break. We'll be back in a minute. Welcome back. Keeping It Clear with Cody Bowen, brought to you by Loveland Safe Ride. And the things that Kevin Loveland and Loveland Safe Ride do for this community are unparalleled. Just that program alone is a lifesaver in lack of other terms. We're joined now by the public information officer. I'll let Cody introduce her.
Yes. So Sharice is here to join us. Sharice is a new position that we just actually created when we hired her on. So first and foremost, what she does is she handles front office staff. She handles all of our concealed handgun licensing, and that's from taking people's applications to fingerprints to photographs to sitting right there through the classes and walking people through the application process for the concealed handgun license. Goes through, makes sure all the documents in order, gets them to me, I sign off on them, she gets them back, makes contact with people. Sometimes, they come up to the office, pick them up, we mail them out. All the stuff that goes along with your concealed handgun license, this is the lady that's responsible for that. And doing a great job, I will say. And then on top of that, there was a little birdie that told me that Sharice used to be really interested in media and maybe did something for the paper or something, I don't know, along those lines, but she has some history, and she was very interested in public information officer role. And basically what that is something that I didn't have. All the information that comes out on our social media or Facebook page or press release or speaking to the press at a big scene or a crime scene was handled by a lieutenant or a sergeant or myself.
Yeah.
So the bigger departments across the state that have endless funding have several of the PIOs. So we created this position for Sharice. I say for Sharice, but for me in my office. And she handles all of our Facebook posts, our press releases, the stats that you're seeing coming out now. And she's just tipped the iceberg and have taken the ball and just gone full speed with it. And I'm extremely thankful and very pleased for the product that she's putting out, because it's been, I'm all about transparency and I'm all about getting that information out to people as fast as we can. And she is spearheading that up. And from our website redesign to our Facebook post to the pictures that are on there, everything is a direct reflection of this young lady's work, and I am extremely thankful, and that's why I asked her to bring her on today. So.
You had to have bribed her.
Actually, she was interested in the role, so I just presented a job. Okay, I'll write this in as the job description, and she's like,
"No, I meant to come on this show."
Oh, yes.
I
said you would be nice, and it would be easy, and just sitting around chit chatting.
Yeah, that's all it is. Sharice, I have a question for you right off the bat. How's it been so far? How long you been there, first off, and then how's it been so far?
So just over 6 months now, and I love this job. I have a background in journalism, and the PIO position is something that I've been working toward in my career. And so to have Cody interested in adding that position onto the CHL position that had been open was amazing to me. Plus, my background is as a 911 dispatcher, helped me do the CHL part of it, because I run the backgrounds, I look through the criminal history, and it just worked very seamlessly.
So as far as the public information officer part, what got you interested in that? Like, do you just like the drama, or like, you know what I mean? Like,
right. So I was a news reporter. I worked at the Observer for a number of years, and I wanted to be in journalism as a career. It's the adrenaline rush. As the Observer, I was the one who did the breaking news. I met Cody when he was an SRO and got to know a lot of our law enforcement officers. They probably didn't like me showing up to their scenes, but that's how I kind of formed the relationship that got me into that station. Nice. And so yes, an adrenaline junkie maybe, but it's been a great job.
Once again, this is a interactive live show. So if you have any questions for Sharice, shoot them my way. I have another question for you. So this started like high school, middle school?
Middle school, technically. I knew I wanted to be a journalist, and throughout high school I was on the newspaper, doing the newspaper, and then I went to college for journalism and just never strayed away from that career goal.
Where'd you grow up?
I went kind of in Spokane. I went to high school in Ontario, graduated from there, and then I've been in La Grande for the last 10 years.
Oh, you're the other tiger? Well, I like Ontario a little bit better than Pendleton. Just a little bit.
Not saying much.
So this position, the public information officer, describe like a day, like go through a day. Like what happens in a day for you?
Let's see. I check our Facebook page. I looked for the new comments. Today we posted we're going to have our next CHL class, so I pay attention because Facebook has a lot of spam bots.
Trolls.
Yes,
bots. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I know?
Yes. But really just looking at the calls to see if there's anything worth posting about, any kind of good arrests. Cody had talked about the most wanted. if we want to talk about that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And so just kind of we're working together to see what we can give to the community on our Facebook page.
Nice. So talk about that a little bit, the new post that's coming out. What are you doing, it once a month?
Trying to, yeah. Trying to update it as much as possible, but yeah, once a month we'll be doing it-ish. We might do it more often than that, depending on how active it gets or how much feedback we get from it. But, there's a lot of folks that were upset when we took I say we, but when we were required to take down the mug shots. When somebody...
on the jail roster?
Yes.
Okay,
And so it used to be standard procedure. Someone was arrested in the community, brought in, fingerprinted, booked, photographed. And then that was posted on the mugshots, Union County mugshots or wherever throughout the local jails. And then the state of Oregon said, no, you can't do that because it's not fair to that person. Okay, whatever. So they've said, no, you're not allowed to do that anymore. So it was, of course, a lot of bad feedback. People really liked seeing that, and they liked knowing what was going on in the community. So it just kind of closed the one door on the transparency again. And it was good, informative. I mean, you'd see some of those charges on there. Of course, everyone is innocent until proven guilty, but there was a lot of good informative stuff with those mugshots. It put a face to what took place. When somebody heard sirens that night, or they saw the police arrest somebody downtown, and they're like, "Oh, okay, here it was a burglary or a domestic or whatever that was." So, so that got taken away by the state. Well, we kind of found a little loophole, if you will, in order to do this, and it's not a loophole, but it's perfectly legal. But it was actually credit to a couple of local OSP guys. They said, hey, do you remember the old school, you on a bar or a saloon somewhere, you'd see that old wanted poster with the bullet holes and, just the wanted by the sheriff or, and a reward, right? And he's like, why don't we do something like that? And I'm like, are you talking like post it out on? He's like, yeah, put out flyers. So I was like, I'm going to do that. So I came to Sharice and I said, hey, what do you think about doing a most wanted on our page? So we can, people that are, convicted of crimes, or they have, if there's an investigatory reason for us to post their picture, then lawfully we can do that. So these folks are wanted. They all have warrants, whether it's a felony warrant, misdemeanor, bench warrant, whatever that may be. They're wanted by the law enforcement. So we have a lawful right to put their face out there and advertise that. So that's exactly what we did. Sharice got on the computer, and literally in 10 minutes later, it was, what do you think? And she had the whole drawn out what you saw on Facebook of the the brown tan paper, exactly what even more of what I had in mind. So yeah.
Did you get any negative feedback on that?
No, we haven't had any negative feedback on it at all.
I would imagine the only people that would give you negative feedback are the criminals.
Well, there was one guy that he was actually here arrested in Union County, but he had serious charges in another state. So he was expedited to that state. Well, we put him on there. We still show a warrant. We still show him wanted. So he got on there and said, you guys sent me to Texas. I'm down here. Well, ha, 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 blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Right? And I just wanted to remind him that when he decides to come back to Union County, we'll have a nice warm bed for you.
Does that happen? Does that happen? Like somebody will get extradited to, say, California. Oh, wait, we don't extradite to California, do we? If somebody will get extradited, go to jail, and then come back, and they still have their warrants here, they can get arrested and put in
or they'll get worked out in the court that they'll transport them back, or vice versa. We'll transport them there for they can serve their consecutive sentence or finish up the sentencing or stuff. But yeah.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
It's a good tool to keep people out of Union County. I mean, that young man knows he has a warrant, and if he comes back to Union County, we're going to chase him and put him in jail. Yeah. So I mean, if he does come back to handle his business, great. Come back, come right to the front counter, turn yourself in, and man up, get it over with. Yeah.
Somebody break the ice. There's quite a few people watching. If you have a question for either Sharice or Cody, put it in the comments, and I'll ask them.
Hey, speaking of ice, so there was mention of Union County being a sanctuary city. Do you remember hearing anything about that here not too long ago?
A sanctuary city for what?
For illegal immigrants.
No.
Okay, so state of Oregon, 2014, 2016, in that era, right around there, declared the state of Oregon as a sanctuary.
State?
Sanctuary state across the board. So there used to be a time where we would have, I was calling reservations, but we would have bed space that we would set aside for ICE detainers or for illegal immigrants, right? So the federal government would subsidize and help fund our local budget. 2014, 2016, Oregon said, no, that's not legal. You're not going to do that anymore. You're not going to work with ICE. So We had to break those contracts. And I'm speaking of it third hand because it was the former sheriff, former administration that was tasked with this responsibility. But there was a thing that came out on Facebook and social media that showed that it was the sheriff's discretion, or the sheriff decided to no longer house illegal immigrants or work with ICE. And that's not the case. The sheriff's office had no say in that whatsoever, other than, okay, we'll do what you tell us to do. Right. And they basically made it illegal for us. If we have someone here, so we can arrest them on local charges. You know, if somebody's breaking the law here, we can address that situation, lock them up, put them in front of a judge, whatnot. But if we have suspicion that this person is an illegal immigrant, if one of my deputies, myself, anybody, were to call ICE and say, hey, we have this person here you might be interested in, then it's a big no-no. State of Oregon would come down on us very hard, probably fine us considerably, whatnot. But I want folks to understand that that is a statewide decision. Oregon is a sanctuary state. That's way above my head. I'm Salem governor. That's where they're at. It's not a decision that was made locally. And I'll be honest with you, I don't agree with it. I don't want to be a sanctuary. See, I welcome immigrants here, but do it lawfully. And especially don't come to our county and break the law and expect that, you're going to get away with it, because that's not the case. So, but yeah, there was some talk about that. So.
Brenda broke the ice, but we're going to wait to answer that question, Brenda, until we're done with Sharice, because it's going to be a long answer, I'm pretty sure. Sharice, what about, so we talked about a small part of your day. What else happens during your day?
Just the typical, nothing too crazy. I work in the front office, so I'm doing the CHLs mostly. I'm getting the applications, I'm answering questions about what's required. It's really nothing crazy. It's answering phones, things like that.
So if somebody was wanting to get a CHL, what do they do?
So if they're brand new, need a CHL, we offer classes through our department. There's some other people who also offer the same classes to get your certificate. Then you need 2 forms of ID, birth certificate. I'm blanking if that's all of it. But then you would do the application, upload those documents, and then I would basically run their background, make sure that they're not a criminal, no felonies, misdemeanors, things like that.
No mental health.
Correct.
Stuff.
No stalking, restraining orders, anything like that. And just make sure that they're no red flags.
Right.
And I'm simplifying this quite a bit. But then, so once they check out with me, I send it over to the sheriff, and he makes the final approval. And then they have renewals every 4 years, and they are able to legally conceal carry in Oregon.
What's the turnaround time? Because I know, like, in Polk County, it's like 2 weeks.
Right.
In Marion County, it's a year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just depends on the county and where that county is, really, honestly, politically.
Right.
What's the turnaround time here?
So technically we have 45 days. I get them done within the week, and then it kind of just depends after that of what their
Couple weeks, a month?
I would say maybe 2 weeks.
So you get it. It's pretty
quick
when it comes to. What's your favorite part of your job?
The PIO stuff. Being able to do the Facebook post. I'm recreating the website. The creativity of the PIO position is probably my favorite. I love doing that. I love making up the most wanted photo poster and just hearing the ideas and implementing them.
So just like you like being part in the mix.
Yes, very much so.
In the mix. So when we go, we'll go back to like what your typical day looks like. We're talking about a lot of concealed carry permits issued, or? It
ebbs and flows. I feel like at the beginning of the year when the measure was kind of going through, that got a lot of people. So now that they're renewing, we're seeing like 40 different applicants coming in. I think this week we had less than 10. But it depends on the week. It depends on if we're doing our concealed carry classes regularly, which we're trying to do once a month. We'll get quite a bit of new applicants after that. And so we're definitely adding regularly.
Cody, the concealed carry classes, do we get enough people signing up for that to do it once a month?
Currently we have. There's times that we don't, and we'll postpone it or whatnot if we get a handful or not. But lately, once COVID's all gone and whatnot, I mean, we have a lot of interest. Union County per capita has one of the highest concealed handgun license holders in the state.
I think it's the highest.
Could very well be. Yeah,
I think
there was a time it was the highest.
It definitely there was a time. I think it still might be right there.
Yeah, and it just speaks to people that are people that responsible gun ownership goes a long ways, and it paints a good name for the people that aren't out there committing crimes and doing whatnot. So I'm a huge advocate for responsible gun ownership. It makes me proud to be in this county that there's that many people that take that seriously and that want to express that freedom and want to protect themselves and possibly protect others. And it sends a message across the county, across the state.
I'm pro gun, you know what I mean, 100%. But I'm also pro being responsible.
Absolutely.
And it is such a huge responsibility to have a concealed carry permit. A lot of people don't understand the weight that goes with that. You know what I mean?
Any class that I attend, that I go to, I don't make it to all the classes, but I try and say a little my 2 cents here and there. And at the end of the class, I always state that, this is a lot of information for you to take on. This is a lot of eye-opening, oh my goodness, do I really want to do this? And I tell people, it's like, if you've gone through this class and you decide that you don't want to have a concealed handgun license, you don't want to carry because of the weight that comes with that, I get it, I understand. And in fact, I respect that more than the person not confident carrying that weapon.
Absolutely.
Versus the person that has it and introduces a gun into a fight and then becomes a victim.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Or pulls a gun when they shouldn't.
For sure.
And shoots somebody. You know what I mean? Because chances are, 99% of the time, if you shoot somebody, you're going to court.
Oh, 100%.
You're going, or 100%.
Whether criminal or civil.
Yeah, or if you, even if you're 100% justified.
Absolutely.
And it's a huge responsibility.
It is.
And you have to be willing to take that and I hate to say chance, but you are kind of taking a chance on top of, not just being a gun owner, but if you have to pull that thing, my whole thought on it is if you pull it, you better use it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no...
There's no reason to pull it out if you're not using it, or preservation of life. There's no reason to even have it if you're not willing to go down that road. But yeah, you're absolutely correct. It's a big responsibility. It really is.
So I have some questions stacking up, but they're more questions for just when we get Charisse out of here. So I'm going to go back to Charisse. What do you like outside of work? What do you do?
So. Gosh, now that the weather is turning better, at
it's
least.
only going to be good for a couple days.
Nope, we're springtime now.
It's going to snow Sunday, man. It is.
70 degrees. I like to be outside. I like to go hiking. I enjoy being outdoors. I have a little dog, and we just enjoy not being inside. So
you do know it's going to snow Sunday.
Nope, it's going to be springtime.
You must not know weather here very well, because it's going to be spring like 8 more times. So as far as your job, what's the hardest part of it?
Ooh, honestly, there's a lot of IT parts of my job. A lot of people who need help with the application online, and so they're telling me what they see on their computer, and I'm trying to explain to them how to navigate through it. The technology challenges that we face, and the program that we use can glitch sometimes, and it's a frustrating process sometimes. But really, if that's my biggest complaint, I'm doing really well.
That is the most frustrating part of my job too.
Yeah.
Computers and just these right here. Like I don't have time. Well, it's not that I don't have time. It just frustrates me really bad. Cody, is there anything else that we should talk about with Charisse before we get her out of here?
No. Most importantly, I'm just super excited for the job that she's doing. Super excited to having that role. She's going to be going to some training here for public information officer training. Awesome. She is a sworn deputy, so she will have the opportunity to respond to say like major crimes that we have situations, and she will be the one going between departments, and she will be the face of the department or the person that's giving that interview if needed to be to media. I'm just excited to have that, and I'm excited that she chose to. I feel bad. I stole her from the city police. She was a dispatcher, but I feel bad in taking her away from there. But I mean, it reciprocates. I mean, they've taken a few of ours. I've taken a few of them. But having her on our team and her ability to work well with everybody up front and all the partners involved is crucial to this role. And she does an excellent job. And so I just want to say thank you for that.
Oh, we got a question for you. Here we go from Brenda. It says, in regards to the PIO, is there any plan to feature some of the deputies on the Union County Sheriff?
That is a sensitive topic for the deputies. I try
tell them to man
so
up.
hard.
That is.
You want me to come up there and help you out with that? I'll wrestle with you down.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some who are just, at least they work with me that I can post photos of them, do whatever. Others are just flat out against it. And so there's a finesse that I have not quite conquered yet for that, but I am trying.
There's your answer. She's trying. So wait, Cody said you're a sworn deputy. Does that mean like you're going to go to the, are you going to be are you going to go to the, where the police go to train?
DPSSC? No,
Yes.
no. So no law enforcement certification. What that means,
gotcha.
what that means is that basically when she goes somewhere, she's recognized as a deputy. She's recognized as an officer. She doesn't have arrest authority by any means, but what it does is it gives her the authority to be right there with us in the intermingling, and it gives a certain amount of respect to the other entities that, media reporter comes up, they want to talk to an officer. Oh, you have a public information officer. That's who I want to talk to. Yeah. She'll be able to display the badge when she shows up on a crime scene. It's more of a interworking that that we all understand that she is a deputy and
keep that in mind. I'd much rather talk to her than you.
for sure. Yeah. She can understand what you're saying a lot better than what I can understand.
Right? All right. Well, this is the Cody Bowen Show. Sharice, we appreciate you being on, and we're going to go on a break. This is brought to you by Loveland Safe Ride. Once again, I run out of words for that program, Cody. Like it's just, it's phenomenal. It really is.
Yeah.
We'll be back right after this.
Eastern Oregon is full of interesting people, with interesting minds and interesting things to say. Here at EO Live, we're committed to connecting you to these intriguing people with EO Talks. We let our special guests share their ideas and life experiences with deep, open, engaging, and inquisitive conversations. You'll also be informed in depth on some of the most recent and relevant events, issues, and more. EO Talks on EO Live, your connection to Eastern Oregon, now on Roku.
Welcome back. Keeping it clear with Cody Bowen, brought to you by Loveland Safe Ride. And now we're going to move on to some of these questions that we stacked up while we were getting to know Sharice. She seems like a great asset for Union County Sheriff.
Huge asset, yeah, and follows right along my plan as far as transparency and having an open door and open book policy to the community. So
she seems excited to be in her position, and in this day and age, that position is so important.
Very
for
important.
you guys.
Yeah, she's the face. She's the first person that when people walk into the office, that's who they're going to see if they come, to the county side. She's the first person, and out in public when people see her, I mean, she's just not at work from 8 to 5. Now people recognize her and who she is, and she's a face to my office and represents me, and she does a really good job of it.
And it seems to fit right in with her career goals as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
So,
absolutely.
Match made in heaven.
Yeah.
All right, first question comes from Brenda Levitt. I hope I said that right. Yeah. Talk about the task force.
Talk about the task force.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Drug Task Force, as most of you know, the state of Oregon back in September reduced the limit from personal possession to a misdemeanor. It was basically in layman's forms or whatnot. It was 50 pills you could possess, and still get a D violation, $110 ticket with measure 1
50
tick.
pills?
Yeah, 50 pills or under. And it's based off of weight, but 50 pills, 50 average fentanyl pills was still
less than
considered
a gram,
personal
or-
use. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So state of Oregon did us a good one by dropping that down. Now it's about 5 pills. So anything over that now is considered misdemeanor. So that really helped us out. What was happening is, there was no consequences. So they weren't worried about law enforcement. And I say they, but the people that are in that situation, addicts that are using every day, they weren't afraid of dying anymore with Narcan. There's just no consequences. So it's become rampant in our communities across the nation. Fortunately, some other states have consequences for their drugs. Oregon chose not to, and now, obviously, with recent short session legislation, that's been changed in our favor. So, to be 100% honest with you, what happened is there was somebody that was trafficking large amounts of drugs, and they were passing through our community, but they were anywhere from north to Umatilla County on down to Malheur County in Ontario. We were caught in the middle somewhere. It worked out where Oregon State Police, they have a drug task force team down in Ontario. Obviously, It's a very high traffic area. They still had funding.
Absolutely.
They had partnerships from the other agencies to keep that task force going, and they were going after the trafficking. So they basically got word that something was going on in our county with a couple other agencies, and they came to Union County, and of course we helped. We worked out on it. They served a search warrant. Well, to be honest with you, it pissed me off. And excuse my language, but it pissed me off that another law enforcement agency was coming into LeGrand, coming into Union County, and I felt like they were doing our job that we should be doing. Now, there's a whole lot more that went to that, and obviously that's not the case, but that's how it felt to me, and that's how I felt it was perceived. And it was a joint effort. LeGrand PD, Union County, OSP, Baker PD. Everybody was involved in this case, but it happened in our town, and they weren't local people to our town. They're just people passing through. There was a house that they were staying at, but it lit my fire, and I said no more. We're not going to do this anymore. This is our responsibility. This is our community. This is our job. So how do we fix this? What do we do? There was absolutely. I want to say zero funding, but I had a little bit of funding left over from when the task force disbanded several years ago. And I said, we're going to do whatever it takes. Well, I couldn't hire anybody. I didn't have it in my budget. I didn't have the funding to do that. So what I did is I took 2 of our patrol deputies off of street patrol, took them off of patrol, and I put them in the drug task force unit. So it created, I don't want to say it created turmoil, but it created hardship in my portion of it, because we had, days, nights, mid shift. So everybody in the office was affected by this decision.
Absolutely.
So shifts were changed, vacation times were changed. It was a big undertaking on our behalf, but it was something that we all agreed we need to do this. We need to do this for whatever we can, whatever it's going to take. So anyway, so with the reduction in the personal amounts, making it a crime, so that gave us the ability to contact someone on the street that had a possession, a misdemeanor amount, and basically we can take those people and we can get information from them. We can do buys. We can ask them to wear a wire. We can get them in there, and we're looking for the bigger fish. We're not looking for the addict that's struggling day to day. We're looking for the person bringing it to our community. We're looking for the person selling it in our community. And this gave us the ability to bring back the task force and to achieve those little steps to get the big step, to get the big fish. So I asked LeGrand Police Department. Chief Bell has been bending over backwards trying to get a person in that position to help us out, because basically I need bodies. Funding wise, I have enough money to maybe carry it on for a few months, but if I don't get any support and we don't find another revenue stream for this, then it's going to deteriorate again, because we can't keep living at this 100 miles an hour all day long. So that's when Commissioner Andrews reached out to Governor Kotek and said, please help. I'm very optimistic for that we're going to get some help from the state of Oregon. Prior to that,
If she texted him back that night while she was laying in bed,
absolutely.
I'm assuming that we're probably going to get some sort of help.
And nonetheless, at least that she's showing interest. We've never had that before in Eastern Oregon. I can remember back when I was a kid in Kitzhaber and stuff that, there would be some talkings and some support for rural communities in Eastern Oregon, but in the past administration, we didn't have any of that. It was all, you know how I feel on our past governor. But she's come to our area. I've accompanied her. I've been to a dinner with her. I've introduced myself, met her. She's very cordial. She's reaching out, and she's showing interest in our small rural area concerns. So to me, that's a win. And if she's willing to show interest and she's willing to help out Eastern Oregon, I'm going to do everything I can to support her. So in turn, hopefully she'll support us as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So drug task force, that's about it. Basically, the guys are out there. They're developing cases. It takes a long time to develop a case. We had 2 back-to-back there, one in January, one in February. And that's just a matter of for lack of a better term, just buying drugs, building cases, finding out where they're coming from, working with informants, putting all that together, getting the search warrants together, getting it approved and signed by the DA and the judge, and then going in and kicking down the door and taking people to jail. I will tell you that even with the change in the drug laws, the last couple of busts we did, of the 4 or 5 people that were arrested, a couple of them were out within, less than 24 hours back on the street.
That's crazy.
So it's frustrating to go through all of that work, months and months of work, get the handcuffs on someone, hold them accountable on our end, and then pass it off. And then the state of Oregon, the judicial system, how it's set up. And I'm not saying this is a judge's fault or a DA's fault. It's how the system is set up, and that person is immediately released based on any type of criminal history or what the charge is or what the crime is.
Because it's not a person-to-person crime.
It's not a person-to-person crime. If it's not a gun involved. If it's theft or drugs, anything. It's not. They don't hold them very accountable. Fortunately, we have good partners with parole and probation. Travis Miller and his people, they work with us, and we try and get detainers on these people that are causing issues over and over. So it takes a whole family, a whole team of people to put this together and make it work. I say the drug task force is my office, but it's partnerships throughout the community that are really helping the drug task force be successful. And I think, obviously, without those partnerships, it won't be successful. And I have complete faith that the other agencies, when they can, they're going to. So.
Well, everybody knows. I mean, everybody knows that it's a huge problem. It's
Absolutely.
Not like you'd have to be blind to not know that.
Yeah.
So and from what I gather from Chief Bell, he's all for trying to help as much as possible. Like,
Yes.
not just on the task force. I'm just talking about with the drug problem that we have here.
Well, that's something, in the smaller communities like ours, we're not blind to the situation, and we're not we're just as angry as the average citizen is when it comes to seeing people, the turnkey in and out of jail. Well, I mean, it drives us nuts. We work hard to do our job, and not only that, but we all live here. Downtown, up on the hill, wherever, out in the outlying areas. And we all are invested in these communities. We all have kids. We all have grandkids that are invested in these communities. I mean, we are just another citizen that just has a different job than the next guy. We see what everybody else sees. And we are, I can't express enough, we're doing absolutely everything within our power to correct that behavior or hold people accountable when the time comes.
I believe that. Yeah. Brad Foy wants to know, what about Union? He said it's so bad here.
In Union, particular?
Yeah.
I will tell you from the law enforcement perspective, Union is not a high traffic area. There are other areas in our counties that have more situational stuff. Now, I don't want to take away from anything that he's seeing or that we're not seeing. I think any drug situation or any criminal activity in any city is something for concern and something that needs to be addressed, and we do address it. We're currently working, we've had a contract out there with Union providing extra patrol services. We're currently in contract negotiations with the city of Union to reestablish that. That was provided on a grant situation, and now the city of Union is responsible for footing that bill for themselves, and they're doing it. They've been working on it for years. They've had a couple different city administrators in there, a couple different mayors over the time, and everyone is committed to continuing those services. It's just a matter of, we got to find out. There was a lot of drama about law enforcement enforcing city ordinances and stuff, and it was blown completely out of proportion. The people that were in the circle, myself, the mayor, the city administrator, was not anywhere. It was not the big deal that the media reported it to be. I feel we have a great working relationship. We don't always agree on everything, But we have a common theme, a common goal in mind to achieve, and we're working at that, and we will achieve it. It's just a matter of fine print in some of the contract language and make sure everybody understands it and agrees with it, and we go forward to do what we can for the residents of Union. But Union has its times, it has its moments, just like any other place. There are, sometimes at 9 o'clock at night, the whole city shuts down, and you can't find a soul. You can cover the entire town of Union, every street, every road in about 20 minutes.
Right.
So it's not a lot of that, but there are some times out there that people get a little loose or a little heavy on the gas pedal and draw attention to themselves. And there are some places that some drug users frequent. We have our eye on those places. We have places out there that are constant annoyance to the neighborhood, whether that's, trash, garbage, high traffic, unsafe conditions. We do our best to help out with that in those situations, but, it's definitely, it's one of our bigger cities, obviously, and it definitely doesn't get ignored.
Nice. Keeping it clear with Cody Bowen. So show on transparency. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. Let's move to the next one. This is Elizabeth Hall, and she says, what are we doing about drugs and bullying in the Union County schools, not just LeGrand?
Okay. Well, first I'll say, and this might upset some folks, but bullying is not a crime. I will tell you that bullying is not a crime. Bullying is something that's been around since the beginning of time, and bullying will never go away. What I try to do on my end, and when I was a school resource officer, is education, having our kids have some coping skills, having our children understand that, there's not always going to be a 12th place ribbon out there for this kid to feel like they succeed. You're going to have some failures in life. You're going to have to understand that people are not nice. How we teach our kids on how to deal with that, how to report it, how to hold people accountable to make sure that the school administration is following through. And I see social media stuff, and I've been a victim of bullying myself. I've been a bully. I've known people that we all have, absolutely. But how we cope with it, how we deal with it, and how we move on, and we don't place the blame someplace else. Is there somebody to blame? Yeah, absolutely. And I might be getting in the weeds here, but accountability is huge, and bullying needs to be addressed right from the get-go. It shouldn't be tolerated, and it's not tolerated. And I will speak very highly for all of our schools. I've seen some posts where parents say the school is not doing anything or whatnot. I would strongly disagree with that. I've been right there in those meetings with those administrators, working on policies, working on disciplinary situations where kids have been bullied. And there's a no tolerance policy for bullying, just flat no tolerance. They just don't deal with it. By the school, 100%. Absolutely. And it's a complete 100% policy violation. So there's consequences that come with it. When it comes to law enforcement handling bullying situations, like I said, it's not a crime. But
They can
those
speak on it, though.
Absolutely, and we are
Jay
very
Hearn
heavily involved. And in the counties, you highlight the county schools especially. We have obviously a school resource officer contract with Union Cove and North Powder. And then we have LeGrand School District, the high school, middle school, and the grade schools, and they obviously pay extra to provide those full-time positions. Those contracts provide 2 full-time positions, 2 full-time deputies, Deputy Hernandez and Deputy Humphreys. In Elgin provides, and we presented this with Elgin, Embler as well, the idea of having a school resource officer in all of these schools. I would love to see it, but it comes down to funding. Elgin School District has taken the stance that they're very happy with the law enforcement presence that they have most of the time. They call sometimes and ask for extra patrol in certain areas, but our deputies make it a point to get out, walk through the schools, meet the kids. They're constantly in the schools because it's Elgin. I mean, I'll be frank with you, there's not a lot it's not busy all the time. So they're looking for stuff to fill that time, and community policing is high on my list of making sure that we're out there and creating those relationships with the kids. So Elgin's happy with that service. So, and then Embler, we talked about a possible school resource officer position there when they had received some money, but they chose to go with a mental health counselor versus going with a law enforcement, which I was fine with that decision. That's your choice, and Lord knows we all need some more mental health counseling and some awareness out there. So, but all in all, as far as in the county schools, we try to be as available as possible. And if the school calls with a problem or concern, we're 100% there to support them. And if law if criminal activity has occurred, if a bullying situation has got out of control to some type of assault or whatnot, then it's the schools. We defer to the schools, but then obviously depending on the age of the kid, there's certain ages that law enforcement won't get involved with kids when it comes to crimes that have taken place or something. If somebody's 11 years old and they punch another kid in the face, we're not going to hold that 11-year-old accountable for an assault 4 charge. Not only that, but the district attorney's office is not going to charge it, and juvenile department will not take the case on. Now that's not black and white down the road. There's some exceptions to that, but kids in all, there's better alternatives to correct their behavior if you catch it soon enough, rather than a criminal charge, rather than law enforcement getting involved.
Something that sticks with you.
Yeah.
Elizabeth and Chris. Chris said when you have someone from school say kids will be kids, not right. Elizabeth says we're dealing with racial slurs. I'll kind of reiterate what Cody said, and Cody can correct me if I'm wrong. That's a school issue. That's not an issue that is handled by you. I mean, obviously we have Justin Hernandez and Humphreys, and they can be positive role models. They can talk to the kids, but the cops aren't going to go. They can't go tell somebody, like, hey, you can't say this. You know what I mean? Right. It's like you can be as helpful as possible, but when it boils down to it, that's a school administration issue.
Right. Right. Well, not only that, most importantly, it's a parenting issue. And working in the schools, I saw a big lack of parenting skills across the years. And I'm not trying to bag on any parents or anything like that, but raising your children is a big responsibility. And everybody has a different view of how that should be done or whatnot. But don't place that responsibility on somebody else if you don't have the tools to correct it in your own home. When it came to bullying in my family, with my children, middle school was tough. Girls are mean.
Oh, they're tough. I have 2 daughters too.
Both of my daughters, they would come home crying and whatnot, and it would be me as a parent or my wife reaching out to another parent and sitting those kids down and having them work out their differences. But it starts with the parents, and you have to be that positive role model, and you have to teach your child how to deal with that situation, not hide from that situation, not run from that situation, not blame somebody else for that situation. Get right smack in the middle of it and say, how do we fix this? And give them the tools and the skills to do this. And I'll be honest with you, if you've tried every avenue, I've told my kid multiple times, I said, if we've done this, we've gone down this avenue, this person won't leave you, punch him square in the damn nose. And I might get some heat for saying that, and I don't, violence is not the answer. No. But there comes a time that, there comes a time where you have to stand up for yourself, not just as a child, but in life in general. And figuratively speaking, punch them in the face could be something as far as changing your activities, changing your idea. It's not a literal punch in the face. It's doing what it takes to fix the problem. Yeah. So,
I mean, I witnessed. I got bullied. I mean, I was when I was in middle school. I was like 5'7" and fat. Yeah. You know what I mean? I didn't grow until like my sophomore year in high school. I've always been big. So I've always gotten a little, you know what I mean? A little bit. So, I mean, and it sucks. It really does.
It does. It's brutal.
The reality of it is you learn a lot of you learn a lot of coping mechanisms and a lot of
exactly. And I think that's where we need to be. That's where we need to step in as parents, because you have kids that are bullied to the point that nobody really knows what's going on, and there's no involvement. Scary. It's very scary. We have kids taking their own lives because they don't feel accepted in school. That's an issue. That's something that I feel we as a society has failed to teach this child how to deal with these situations, or to be better, or to at least talk about them to somebody before it becomes too late. This damn thing right here that's in front of every kid's faces is the demise of our children. We need to have parents be involved and teaching our youth rather than what this is teaching them on the phone. Anyways, I'll get off that soapbox. But
yeah, well, I mean, like you said, that's the greatest thing ever invented and the worst thing ever invented all in one. It's crazy.
Absolutely.
Ben Lowe says, what's being done with the transient camps? I see them, and then a couple days later, they're somewhere else. Do the individuals just get trespassed from these locations?
Sometimes, yeah. So the city of LeGrand worked very, very hard on their city ordinance and established that when you can camp, when you can't camp. Again, the state of Oregon tied our hands, and local government, and pretty much said that if you harass somebody that's camping, then you can be susceptible to a fine. law enforcement officers included. So City of LeGrand and the county has worked very hard to establish their ordinances to put a level of tolerance on there and some guidelines and some restrictions. You don't see them downtown on the streets in the cubbies. You don't, but as far as the transient problem as a whole in itself, them moving along, we try very hard to make contact with folks, especially if they're in a public place, offer them services, ask them how we can help, and then advise them that it's not welcome here. We're giving you all the places, motel voucher, reach out to CHG, mental health, we're giving you the tools. These people are hiring. Whatever we can do, Union County Services will come in and help you get clean clothes, wash your clothes. But I mean, we're trying very hard to push in that direction. And then the ones that you do see that do possibly get trespassed, that comes from private property. So you have to have a private property owner. You have to have Safeway stand up and say, I do not want them on my property anymore. And then we can step in.
Then you remove them.
Then we
and then
remove
if they
them.
come back, then it's a trespass.
Exactly.
That's how
Yep.
the law works in Oregon.
Yes. Yeah.
That's Jennifer Reeves says, my granddaughter was bullied all 3 years in middle school. Hernandez knows it's changed her. It's awful. So many grandparents raising grandkids these days. I appreciate your advice and opinion, Cody.
Yeah.
It sucks, man. Bullying sucks.
There's no answer for it, really. I mean, I can sit up here and say, "Oh, this is what you need to do," but I don't have an answer for every situation. I speak very broadly about the situation, but each situation is different. And working in the schools with the kids, and like I said, with my own children, it was heartbreaking when they came home and they didn't feel like they fit in, or somebody would just constantly just dragging them down.
It's almost like reliving your own bullying experiences when your kids bring it to you.
It is. It is. And you get so darn frustrated because it takes you right back to how you felt as a kid. I was 100 pounds and barely 5'10", 5'11", all through high school, and I had the mouth of a 300-pound lineman.
I know.
I mean, I was the guy that sat in the front seat and instigated the fights, so my buddies could go, let's do it. And my mouth cashed a lot of checks that I didn't have any money in there for.
Yeah.
And I learned real quick that, like I said, I don't want to say bullying is self-instigated, because it's not by any means, and it's not the fault of the person that's doing it. But I think we can definitely focus on parenting rather than pushing the blame on the school, because I know there is every administrator, every teacher, every para, every person that's in that school is only there for the children. That's the only reason they're there. It's not a paycheck. It's not for recognition. Right. These teachers absolutely. I mean, they go home exhausted. They're crying. They're at their wits' end, and they come back the next day and they do it all over again. I mean, teachers are our most underpaid, undertreated, and the school district does their best to treat them very, very well. But it takes a very, very unique person to sit in that classroom and to try and guide these kids into a direction. And it's not their fault that somebody's getting bullied. I flat disagree with that 100%. So yeah. And if anybody has any, if somebody says, Cody, you're wrong, that's baloney, I don't buy that. My phone number, it's available. My office door is open. I am always willing to listen to some better idea, or even if we don't agree on something, I'm willing to talk about anything, because if we can find a solution, I'll be right there in the front of the boat rowing with you.
Well, I think one thing that we can all agree on, like as parents especially, is this world that we live in today is a tough world for kids to live in.
Absolutely.
I mean, it really is. I think about it all the time. I talk about it all the time. It's so much harder to be a kid in 2024 than it was in 1994.
I agree.
It really is.
I agree.
I mean, just all the pressure from outside things, all the pressure that this brings, and then going through COVID and just everything. It's tough to be a kid right now.
You have homes that, I mean, you don't sit down at the dinner table. You have parents that are literally working 2 and 3 jobs just to survive,
or
to
working
pay for their
opposite
kids.
shifts.
Absolutely, and the kids just don't have that structure. They don't have that mom and dad situation to look at, or dad and dad, mom and mom, whatever that looks like. Times have changed, and we've neglected our children over the years, and we're seeing the repercussions for it.
Yeah, I'm just as guilty as anybody too.
Yeah.
I mean, when my wife and my ex-wife and I were still married, we worked opposite shifts just to make ends meet. She'd work during the day and I'd work swing, or vice versa, and that's not ideal for raising kids. You know what I mean? Like we had dinner together one night a week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a tough world.
Yeah.
Man. All right, I guess that's it for today.
Is it?
Anything else you want? Yeah, I mean, we're right at the time limit.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about before we get out of here?
Again, back to the campaign thing, if anybody has any questions for me or concerns, or if they hear something out on the street, my door is always open. I'm an open book, and I encourage anybody, especially when it comes to voting, number one, please get out and vote. Educate yourself on the candidate, understand the role that person has in the community, support whoever you want to support. When it comes to the sheriff's office, support me. But it's super important that you understand not only the job responsibilities or the duties or the person that you're electing to put in there. Understand and recognize that is that person capable of doing that job? Is that person have the experience, the history, the town connection? Just please educate yourself on that, and don't. I see a lot of, when it comes to Trump or Biden, and I'm not going to get on that wagon, but there's a lot of people that vote emotionally based off of, they don't like how somebody said something or they don't like this. But look at the big picture of how this person is capable of doing the job, and what are the benefits of this? Because you're voting for someone that's going to, in my position, be the chief law enforcement officer for Union County. It's a lot of weight on my shoulders, and if I'm not capable, if I haven't in the last 4 years done a satisfactory job, or even above satisfactory, then I need to be addressed on that. You need to call me out on that, because it's important that we have people in these leadership roles that have the best interests of the community at heart.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Speaking of the candidacy and the election coming up, tomorrow night out in Union at 6:30 at the Catherine Creek
Community Center.
Community
Used to be the
Center.
church on the corner there.
It's the what church is it?
Used to be the church right there. The
Okay,
big brick church.
right on the corner. 6:30. All 9 county commissioner candidates, all 3 judge candidates, and both the sheriff candidates are going to be they're going to be participating in a forum. We're going to stream it live right here on EO Live at 6:30.
2 judges.
3.
There's only 2.
There's one running unopposed, and he's going to come answer questions.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Okay. You got the inside.
So he's going to come answer questions. He wanted to participate in it, which, I like.
Yeah.
And somebody wants to know, do you have yard signs available?
I do have yard signs
Carrie
available.
Wagaman.
Carrie Wagner. I do have
think I
yard
said that
signs.
right.
So just so everybody knows, I'm not going to be on the ballot until November. So I put out about half my signs. I'm going to take about half of those down just because I don't want them to get ruined, destroyed, and lose their luster.
Yeah.
But I will
there's
start.
only 2 of you, so it's
There's only 2 of
automatic.
us, so
the primary doesn't matter.
Primary doesn't exist for us. We'll be on the November ballot, and I will be bringing more signs around towards the end of the summer, late summer, somewhere around there. We'll start putting some more signs out. But Carrie, just shoot me a message on Facebook to my Reelect page, and I'll give me your name and your address, and we'll put you on the list. Thank you for that.
Once again, thank you to Sharice.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
And thank you to Loveland Safe Ride for supporting this. The Loveland Safe Ride program saves many lives, many DUIs, and it's kind of cool. Like I've been, at Beer Fest, right? And I'll walk out and I'll see Jerry sitting here and a cop sitting here. And Jerry's just like, oh, I'm going to get you before they do.
Yep.
And I've gone on a ride along with Jerry on New Year's.
Yeah.
It was quite amazing. It's just great. The interactions and the people that, people around here know about it. Mm-hmm. They know.
Absolutely.
And it's just a great program. Once again, thank you to Kevin Loving the Safe Ride. Thank you to you guys for tuning in. We appreciate you. Thank you to Sheriff Bowen. And until we do this again, keeping it clear with Cody Bowen. We're out.